Greetings, I'm Parson Michael, and welcome to Sacred Ground Community Church and Sangha. This is one of our wild church experiences, and we try to do this even if it's rainy and cold. And so we're here for our third week of Advent with our service in a metro park in the Central Ohio area. We usually begin, for those of you who are familiar or not familiar with us, we usually begin with a mindfulness bell. We meld together the beneficial teachings from East and West, drawing from Buddhist tradition, Christian tradition, and from Mother Earth spirituality. And one thing that I think unites all traditions, is the value of presence, the value of being right here, right now, in this moment. And you can hear, I don't know if you'll pick this up on we can hear a little bit the interstate in the background. We can hear a train in the background. I heard an emergency vehicle, there's a hospital nearby, I heard that. And we just try to open ourselves to everything around us, as well as the breeze or if the birds are singing. And in this moment, we are invited to open, and everything's invitational, everything's an invite. So don't feel any sense of obligation toward any part of it. But you're invited to simply enjoy this moment and this sound of this bell. I invite you to notice that you're breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in joy. Breathing out compassion. Breathing in lightness. Breathing out healing. Breathing in caring. Breathing out hope. We're in the third week of Advent in Christian tradition. And so with that, the theme is joy. And I actually need a copy of the song as well. So for this third week of Advent, we're going to sing verse 1 here of O Come, Emmanuel. Those of you who are on our mailing list, you probably received this in an email, maybe last time. So you may want to pull this up to sing along, or you may know the first verse. We're going to be singing the first verse, and then section 4 a little bit later. So I invite you into presence, and I invite you into song. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel.
so nice to be here. It took us a bit to get here this morning. For whatever reason, there were bumps in here. And then just, Michael and I talk all the time about how time is definitely not always consistent. Sometimes an hour is like so long, and sometimes an hour is just not. And this morning it was not. And it was bumpy. But we're here, and our theme today is joy. And once that was helpful, getting settled right here and just looking out at the stark beauty, the browns, all different colors of tan and brown and the greens, the pine trees, the evergreens that are still evergreen, and the grays. We have a nice rainy day here. We had months and months in Columbus and Central Ohio with no rain this summer. Months and months, like 4 months. So feeling Thanksgiving every time that it rains. For those of you joining us online, we'd love for you to be involved. There's a live chat that you can be involved with. You can tell us that you've joined us, say where you're from. We will do prayers and concerns and sharing later today, and you're welcome to share too. Thank you. Michael's telling me to speak up. The other thing is, two of our wonderful parishioners gave us a new mic, and we've been trying to use it. It's not quite working yet, but we're going to try to get our children involved to help us with the technical aspects of that. So we will try to speak loudly today, and hopefully next time that new mic build will be working. But we did put effort into it, and it was not doing what we wanted it to do.
Technologically challenged.
So all that, and I am going to lead us in prayer now. And yeah, just prayer and appreciation. So, like we did before, just start noticing your breath a little more. I think for me, that's definitely where it starts. This week, I've been doing a lot of breathing, different breathing techniques. So maybe I'm going to do one right now. That's what I'll do before I do the prayer. Thank you. Michael keeps telling me to speak up. We're one. So I'm going to invite you. You have your eyes opened or closed. We're just doing a very simple breathing technique. But it's been helping me, especially in the car this week. So I'm going to invite you. We're going to do in a second, we're going to do a long breath in and just a long breath out. And that is it. Just even ourselves out. So I'm going to count to 8 for a breath in and then 8 for a breath out. So it's just going to be in and out. Okay? And if you can't do it that long, you can do it shorter. So we'll just start with this. So and first notice your body too, how you're sitting, your spine, where your feet are on the ground. Make sure your chest is kind of lifted a little bit, your heart open. That kind of helps with your posture too. So I invite you to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I invite you to go back to your normal breath for a moment. I'm going to do it just a little bit longer. So in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again. In 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and then back to your normal breath. And I invite you this week, things start to get a little stressful, just go to that deep, consistent in and out and see if that can help to balance you a little bit. And in this space, I want to give thanks. Thanks for this Advent season. Thanks for being able to be together here. Thanks for this park that we're in. I'll lead us in prayer here. Great Sacred. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. Great Sacred. Fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illuminates the darkness in which we walk. Help us see, wherever we gaze, the miracle of life and the incredible beauty that surrounds us and envelops us. Help us to see all of those miracles and the mystery that are ever present if we just open our eyes. Peace and amen.
We're going to express a little gratitude for this space. We are here, as I mentioned at the beginning, in Central Ohio, and we know that peoples walked this space long ago. The Shawnee, the Miami, and way back, the Hopewell, the Adena, fellow human beings. This was their space. There's many mounds in this area in Central Ohio. Actually, we have the Great Circle Earthworks, which has just been named a
World Heritage
What's
Site.
that?
World Heritage Site.
Thank you, Shannon. A World Heritage Site. So if you're not from Central Ohio and you visit here, you might want to visit the Serpent Mound or visit the Circle Mound and see some of that, which is part of us. And we give thanks for those peoples. We give thanks for the people who built this lovely shelter house. I might pass them on the street and I would never know who they are. They might think differently than I do. They might worship differently or not at all. They might hold different political views than I do. And they've created this space that we can enjoy. Or those who help to maintain this park, those who decided there should be a park right here. And then there's the animals. I saw a squirrel scooting across a little bit earlier. There's the trees. I love this time of year when the trees, they act as if dead, though they are not. And of course the grasses and the stones and all the rest. So we'll take a moment, or a couple of moments, to just honor some of the sacred fellow beings around us here in the park. And I'll invite those here, if you wish to point at something specifically or point out something specifically, and we can bow and say, we honor the sacred in you. And you might do the same thing at home. You might look around and maybe there's something within your home or out the window, a tree, And we can say we honor the sacred in you. And again, this is twofold. One is we're trying to open our hearts to all that's around us, and it could include the ancestors, right? But we're trying to honor them, and we're also trying to bring out the best in ourselves. And those are both worthy efforts. Sometimes we get further that way than other days, but it's worth the effort. So I'll start us out. Right behind me, this tree, and I was just noticing it when Ollie was sitting up here. I was thinking of like two things came to my mind. Like I thought of like, as kids we might have enjoyed fireworks, and there's this explosion, and it's like that tree just exploded with limbs. And then the other image I had was of like a sunrise, and the rays of the sun coming up in all these wonderful directions. And I just love what this tree invited into my mind, and I'm grateful for it. And to this tree we say, we honor the sacred in you. And we'll give, if folks here, if they wish, no obligation, if you wish, we'll give folks a few seconds to add their own if they wish.
I'm Ollie bowing in, and I love when we're here. One, I love this building. I do love this structure. And we're in an oak grove here, and so people can place behind. So the trees with the leaves still on them, pretty much, those are oak trees. Not all of them. That's not an oak tree right there. But many of these trees are oaks, and just honoring these beautiful brown leaves that are still on many of these oak trees. So to the oak trees, we honor the sacred in you.
Shannon bowing in. I'm honoring the rain. As has been mentioned, we were for this part of the country, quite a profound drought, very unusual earlier this year. And I heard on NPR this morning that due to severe drought in Vietnam and Brazil, the world coffee crop is really adversely affected. Whether you drink coffee like I do or you don't, it reminded me being here. So often, at least for me, I have to adjust my attitude when I initially find out it's going to be cold and rainy. And then it's easier to do when you're, at least for me again, when I'm aware of how precious the rain is and how much we need it and take it for granted. So we honor the sacred in you.
I'm going to mention a couple people online that have joined us. So Michael says, good morning, friends. Good to see you all. Stacy and Mark say good morning. And Martha says, feeling grateful for you this morning. So thank you for those. And Stacy says, we honor the sacred in you. That's very sweet.
So we'll take a moment here to honor the sacred in you and honor the sacred in each other. And if anybody here wants to come and stand behind the chair and bow to those who are in different places, but with us, and we are with them and they're with us. And as with the oak tree, as with the rain, recognizing that bodhisattva and training nature, that child of God nature within ourselves and in the other. So I'll invite the bell to sound, and then we'll do the namaste bows to each other. We're invited to enjoy the one thing we have, the only thing we really have, this moment right now.
I'm gonna do joys and concerns that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna warm.
Hopefully it's gonna work. Yeah, I just feel real called for us to do joys and concerns early today. And one is because Sylvia, who joins us frequently, last I heard was still in the hospital. She had some foot surgery. I spoke with her earlier this week. I have not spoke with her since earlier this week. She was trying to get into a rehab center for her injuries, and she was. It was lovely to speak with her. So, Sylvia, if you're joining us, we have prayers towards you and your healing.
Yeah, we send those prayers, whether she's joining us or not.
Send them whether she's joining us or not. We send them. And another prayer I want to mention is Scott. So Scott's not here with us this morning. His dad, who he's mentioned a number of times in prayers and concerns, went to the hospital, into the ER, had to get some blood transfusions, I think yesterday or the day before. So I haven't heard an update. But yeah, Scott's dad has been in our prayers for months and months. So sending prayers to Scott's dad and to Scott and their whole family. So those are two that have been heavy on my heart. So I'm going to open it up. People have prayers, but also joys who they want to share with us. So prayers, joys, concerns, and those online. And I will read those too. If people want to put those in the chat. But we'll have a minute. I'm going to actually do the bell. Have a minute, and then we can add to those prayers, joys, and concerns.
As we get into this holiday season, and my gosh, 2 weeks from now, Christmas will be over. Those loved ones that we all have who are no longer with us in this form. I think especially of my sister and my dad, but also aunts and uncles and friends. And I just want to give thanks for all of them. And in my way of thinking, just my heart reaching out to their spirit hearts at this time.
Shannon bowing in. I lift up I have joys and concerns for the people of Syria. I've been learning a tremendous amount through the BBC and NPR this week primarily, and listening to people in Syria. And wow, what a moment in time for them. And I feel it way over here on the other side of the world. And I have a tremendous joy for Charles Dickens. He's my favorite Christmas story, has since I was a little kid. And we watched a version of the Christmas Carol that we had never seen before last night on Disney Plus. I cannot recommend it enough. It's from 2009, and it's the same sort of animation as the Polar Express with Tom Hanks, and it's superb. If you have little kids, it can get a little scary. as that story does anyway, but it's wonderful. Shannon bowing out.
Do you want to check my to see if there are any prayers online? Get your glasses.
Shannon shares a prayer. Her mom is doing physical therapy, and Shannon also shares a joy as Shannon says, I am doing bells next week. And Stacy from Pittsburgh area shares a joy that we will be joining you next Sunday in person.
Well, for all these joys, concerns, prayers, spoken and unspoken, we lift them up. Lift them up to add to the good, to add to the interconnectedness of us all. Peace and amen. And am I doing the first reading? I wrote the second. You're first and I'm second. Okay. Shannon's third. So readings are next.
A number of our readings today will be from the heart of the Buddha's teachings, and I think I can give you a little evidence that ours is a pretty well used copy. And I always, when I recommend Thich Nhat Hanh to people, what I usually say, is, as my personal recommendation is, Pieces Every Step is a great one to start with. And if you're interested in the Buddhist Christian connections, Living Buddha, Living Christ, or Jesus and Buddha as Brothers are great books. And if you really want to sort of do a little deeper dive into Buddhism per se, and how Thich Nhat Hanh thinks about Buddhism, the heart of the Buddha's teaching is a pretty wonderful resource. So we'll have a few readings actually from that today. This first reading comes from page 113 and 114 of that text. And I'll invite the bell to sound for this sacred text. If you recognize and accept your pain without running away from it, you will discover that although pain exists, joy also exists. Without experiencing relative joy, you will not know what to do when you are face to face with absolute joy. Don't get caught in theories or ideas. Just stay in touch with what is actually going on. And you will touch the true nature of suffering and the true nature of joy.
The second reading is also from the Heart of the Buddhist Teaching, page 93. Joy is a factor of awakening, and it is at the heart of right diligence. If we have joy, ease, and interest, our effort will come naturally. When we hear the bell inviting us for walking or sitting meditation, we will have the energy to participate if we find meditation joyful and interesting. We do not have the energy to practice sitting or walking meditation. It is because these practices do not bring us joy or transform us, or we do not yet see their benefit. When I wanted to become a novice monk, my family thought that a monk's life would be too difficult for me. But I knew it was the only way I could be happy, and I persisted. Once I became a novice, I felt happy and free as a bird in the sky. When it came time for chanting sutras, I felt as though I had been invited to a concert. Sometimes on moonlit nights, when the monks were chanting the sutras standing by the crescent pond, I thought I was in paradise listening to angels. When I could not attend morning chanting because I had another task, just hearing the words of the sutra coming from the Buddha hall brought me happiness. Everyone at Tukhoi Pagoda practiced with interest, joy, and diligence. There was no forced effort, just the love and support of our teacher and brothers in the practice.
The third reading is also from the Heart of the Buddha's Teaching, pages 93 and 94. At Plum Village, children participate in sitting and walking meditation and silent meals. At first, they do it just to be with their friends who are already practicing. But after they taste the peace and joy of meditation, they continue on their own because they want to. Sometimes it takes adults 4 or 5 years practicing the outer form before they taste the true joy of practice. Master Ishan said, "Time flies like an arrow. If we do not live deeply, we waste our life." Someone who can devote her life to the practice, who has a chance to be near her teacher and friends in the practice, has a wonderful opportunity that can bring her great happiness. If we lack right diligence, it is because we have not found a way to practice that is true for us, or have not felt deeply the need to practice. A mindful life can be wonderful.
Our fourth reading will come from Judeo-Christian tradition, from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verses 39 through 56. And I'll just say a couple of words about this reading before I get to it. In this reading, Mary is pregnant, and she goes to visit her cousin, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is also pregnant. She's actually further along in her pregnancy, and Elizabeth is the mother of John the Baptist. So for those who may not be as familiar with Christian tradition. And then Mary is going to give a little poetic monologue that's known as the Magnificat. And it's thought to be very ancient, probably going back to pre-Christian tradition. With all that, I'll light the bell again and then share the reading. And here we see a different manifestation of joy. And you're welcome to more blankets if you wish. There's extra blankets just sitting there, so they should be used if you wish. Luke chapter 1, verses 39 through 56. Mary visits Elizabeth. In those days, Mary set out and went with haste to a Judean town in the hill country, where she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted her cousin Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leaped in Elizabeth's womb. And Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit and exclaimed with a loud cry, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And why has this happened to me, that the mother of my Lord comes to me? For as soon as I heard the sound of your greeting, the child in my womb leapt for joy. And blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord." And Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, Abraham, and to his descendants forever." And Mary remained with Elizabeth about 3 months, and then returned to her home. And Emmanuel, which means God is with us, we are going to sing part 4. Those of you at home, this is the part that begins, O come, great Lord of might. O come, great Lord of might, who to thy tribes on Sinai's high in ancient times didst give the law, in cloud and majesty and awe. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou root of Jesse's tree, an ensign of thy people be. Before thee, rulers silent fall. All peoples on thy mercy call. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O. 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 O.
Our final reading comes from Thich Nhat Hanh's The Heart of the Buddhist Teaching. Waking up this morning, I smiled. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. Reciting this gatha can give us energy to live the day well. 24 hours are a treasure chest of jewels. If we waste these hours, we waste our life. The practice is to smile as soon as we wake up, recognizing this day as an opportunity for practicing. It is up to us not to waste it. When we look at all beings with the eyes of love and compassion, we feel wonderful. With the energy of mindfulness, washing the dishes, sweeping the floor, or practicing sitting or walking meditations are all the more precious.
Last week on Saturday, December 7th, we had a Christmas party at our house. And we sing Christmas carols, we tell stories. I'll give a plug for, if you want, you can watch the Sermon on the Mount, which I told that as a performance piece. And I also shared an Irish Christmas tale. So if you're interested, you can find those online. And other people shared, Scott shared a song, other folks shared stories and songs. And little kids, elders, all across the gamut. A lot of joy. And just this morning, our friend Shannon, who did one of the reading, she said, well, we laugh here a lot. We laugh before the service starts, we laugh after the service has ended, and sometimes we laugh during the service too. And at the same time, we're not flippant, and we're certainly not cutting or acerbic. And I had a thought the other day. I was thinking about, I think it was the first reading, where we said, if you really want to touch the joy, you also have to really touch the suffering. And I thought, for the most part, when people are really angry, and for the most part, when people are really anxious and fearful about something that may happen in the future, they're not sad. And they're not joyful. And it's almost like that whole energy field is something else. And I think of like the party where people are laughing or what we're doing here. And I think of this as part of the solution that we need for our world. And why is that? And because sometimes we also get choked up here and at that party. And regardless of where you are with your views of anything, religion or politics or anything else, isn't that a little bit more of who we really want to be? Connected to our true joy, connected to our authentic sorrow. I was talking to an old friend this last week, and I'm not sure if this is real or apocryphal, but I heard this once, that the idea of the living room was popularized, and again, I don't know if this is accurate, but it's an interesting story nonetheless. I heard that the living room, that part of the idea for that came from, pre-World War II, people had parlors. And, like my grandfather, who died in 1931, oftentimes, when people died, they were put in the parlor. And maybe that connects to the term funeral parlor, as that became more of a commercial entity and less handled by the families and in the homes. And I've talked a lot about that distancing from death. This seems like a strange talk on joy, but stay with me here. In 1976, when my Auntie Anne died, I was 14 years old. Actually, I might have been 13. I don't remember what time of year she died. 13, I think. And we were there in the room when they lowered the lid on the casket. We had the open viewing, and I could remember my Aunt Ethel just wailing. I'd never heard anything like that out of dear Aunt Ethel at the loss of her sister. And that was at 13, 14, such a striking moment. The other thing that strikes me is I've never seen that again. And I've been to a lot of funerals. And I've noticed over the years that later we wouldn't go to the gravesite. We just go to the mausoleum. And it was very seldom that we went to the gravesite. It was very, very seldom that you would see actually anyone shoveling the dirt. I talked to my one friend who, his parents came from India, and he said when his father died, he had to dress the body, I believe, and perhaps help to put it into the crematorium. And I've been wondering why or how we've been so I've been just marveling at how we're not reacting to climate change. And one of the things that I've finally been thinking, and I heard this a while back, but it didn't sink in until recently, is I think it's a lot like how we think about death. In other words, we kind of know it's real, but not really. We kind of think that, but maybe not. I think of a world where, when my mother was a little girl, her father's laid out in the living room, what we call the living room, in the parlor. And I think, imagine this. We're parents, we have 4 adult kids now. If we were to say to our kid, hey, I want you to be happy. That's good, right? I want you to be happy, but I don't want you to be sad at all. Never, ever, ever be sad. Don't let me catch you being sad. That would be cruel. We can't get one without the other. We can't have the joy without the tears, the laughter without the tears. And I wonder, this culture of fear and anxiety and anger and hate, and on both sides, we're not touching no sadness. No, we're not touching no joy. And maybe if we can figure out how to really touch joy and really touch sadness, maybe we can start to bring that authenticity to everything else that's so needed for our world. And wouldn't that be a great honoring of Mary and Elizabeth? Not to mention the Buddha's mom and pop, and Joseph. At this time of waiting.
Want to do our So it is time now for our solo walk, or we get either we can stay in shelter if we're here, or we can go out walking anywhere. Last couple times we've been here, did I get lost last time? I think Scott got lost. Last
Only
year.
here. Only here people got lost.
Scott got lost. So okay, I went over that way. Thought I fell off a cliff.
You got lost last week.
That's
You
right.
got
I
You
did get lost last week.
You did get lost. So when you look what time it is, Michael, we're gonna. So just a warning. We'll try to be on our devices on us.
It's almost 11:30.
Oh wow, we've been talking a long time. Okay, so we'll do a 15 minutes. So we'll be back here at 11:45, and we'll have a time to share. But you guys that are joining us online, we'll move the chair out of the way. We're not going to move the camera because we've lost it so many times when we've tried to move it. So you can listen. There are some amazing birds that we've been hearing here. But you at home could go out if you want to, wherever you are, or you could and join us back here in 15 minutes. So enjoy this day. It's getting colder. I think you're right. It's a cold, cold day. It's surprisingly cold. Yeah.
I think it was in the 40s right here.
I know that's what is happening. Right. It's cold. You start. You start with. I think you need to start with that.
Welcome back. Just had our nice, warm, sacred Sunday. It's a little chilly, and when it's wet, cold, chilly here. So this is an opportunity for us to share. For those of us who are here, if we wish to share, if you would like to share on camera, you can come sit in this seat. If you'd like to share off camera, you can share from the side. If you'd rather not share, that's fine too. And you might share from your sacred saunter, from the readings, from the meditation today, anything. And folks at home, you too are welcome to share, and we invite you to share. If you're watching this as a recording, you can add your comments. If you're watching this live right now, we'll try to share your comments aloud with the group. And so we'll start with a moment of silence and then invite people in to share. It's nice to have if there's a moment of space between each of the sharings. That's always good. I will start the sharing this time. And when we're not in the shelter, we usually build a little altar of leaves and sticks and such, and people will sometimes bring a leaf or something in. Well, I have a little something to share. I don't know if we can see this online. We're gonna try, but let's see if can you see my finger there?
I can
Ollie?
see your finger.
Can you see that?
Yeah, there you go.
There?
Or a little bit farther away.
A little bit further away.
Maybe, I don't know. Kind of move it this.
Kind of move it. Okay, so you
There we
might
go.
see there's a little water droplet on my finger. So let me tell you about this. And believe me, my index finger is getting quite cold right now. But on a number of the trees, I went into this little wooded area. I saw a droplet at the tip of each, almost at the. If I put my hand there and take that droplet away, will another droplet form right away? Well, the answer was no. It didn't form. Another droplet didn't form. It was just the one droplet. But then I noticed that, like, whoa, this thing really. I mean, again, I don't know if we could see this, and it might drip off now. Is there some way that I could see where my? Yeah, it is kind of hard to see, isn't it?
There you go. That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think
But
so.
even as I move down, even as I move up, and it finally dripped. And so I was just wondering about the properties of this. Like I know water has that property where it'll kind of keep its shell, if you will. But this seemed like more intense than usual. I didn't know if that was because of the cold. I didn't know if there was some interaction with maybe some of the material of the tree. I don't know. And I think what I appreciate is I appreciate the not knowing. I appreciate being curious. Elizabeth appreciates that movement. of the infant in the womb when her cousin shows up. I want to appreciate the joy, appreciate the sadness. And I've been thinking a lot lately that, and I don't have this as a complete thought, I want to continue to think about the interrelationship between curiosity and wonder and mindfulness. Because I think that they, at least for me, I think there's something there that I need to keep working. And I'll empty myself and see if anyone else wants to sit here, or people can also share.
Shannon bowing in. I usually, when we do the saunter, I'm doing what the park itself gives me as opposed to being at home or somewhere else. I did a little bit of that, but I did a little bit of that, and I have a personal story about what Michael was talking about with death and life, or joy and sorrow, because I have an experience with the death of my mother when I was almost 7 that profoundly crippled me, because I did not go to the funeral. My sisters didn't. I had a newborn baby sister, so she didn't go to the funeral, clearly, but my 5-year-old sister and myself, the adults in my life, decided it was not a good idea to take us to the funeral. And I can only speak from my own experience. That is the wrong thing to do, no matter how well intended, because like Michael was talking about, when you don't have a balance of joy and sorrow and knowing how to navigate, and that they travel together, fear, anger, those things are rough. And that's exactly what happened to me, because this was 1970, and back then, hopefully it's not so common now, the adults in my life, I heard a lot of, your mother's gone to a better place. Well, when you tell a child that and they don't see that they're actually dead, guess what happens? That I thought she was on a bus because we did something wrong. And she left. I didn't go to school for 3 months. My mother had been sick with cancer off and on for 4 years, so it was not a surprise. I saw my mother dying. I saw people coming in and praying for her over and over again. I saw the church involved in my home all the time. And then everyone left. My dad had to get back to work. My mother's best friend found a woman to care for us as a live-in nanny. And my dad got married 4 months later, remarried, which might sound awful. It was not awful in terms of, I would never judge my father. I think it was a very practical thing to do. It was ironically my second mom. Before she became my mom, she saw what was going on and she took me to my mother's grave. She did the same thing separately with my 5-year-old sister. And I had to be really quiet. The people here would have saw me do a little subtle, like, not so subtle, like, I had to fight what Michael was saying about climate change, because I don't live that life. As you all know who are here regularly, I do what I can in my small little way to try to heal the world. And I had never thought about it quite this way until today. I know what it's like personally when we don't face things. And I'm not going to get it right, it's really not important that I do, but one of the greatest gifts that Thai has given me so far and other Buddhist leaders is this whole practice of being comfortable with death because it's part of life. So there's a whole series of, it is in the nature of beings to get older if you're lucky, unlike my mother. It is in the nature of things to have pain, to have body parts that don't work anymore. It is in the nature of all life to live with death. And like he said, we do an awful job in this culture of living with death. And so, when I first got to be really aware, wasn't even called climate change then, 25 or 30 years ago, I was full of rage and full of fear about the changing climate and the inactivity of our country and many others then. I got involved in the Sierra Club and I just was angry. The Sierra Club was angry. And the Sierra Club has changed its tactic because that's not productive to just be angry. Because anger and fear travel, like Michael said. So I got involved in local groups. And that's where you find joy because you're with people who are also trying to do some little thing to better the world. And it's so joyful, even when you're not succeeding in your efforts, like Save Ohio Parks here. We haven't succeeded yet. But I'm using the word yet. And I feel so much joy. The rage and the fear is so much diminished. And so I really wanted to share that deep experience and the hope that maybe it helps all of you, especially in our desire to protect children. Be careful, I would say, what that means and what you think protecting your children or grandchildren really might be. Thank y'all for listening. Shannon bowing out.
So another Shannon online is sharing. I colored very slowly and listened to your nature. To your nature, it sounded like rain. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to share one of the things I was noticing. I love how Michael said this is when at the very beginning he was talking about the tree behind us kind of looking like fireworks or like a sunrise, and so I just like took that and walked around here. And a lot of times I look at the roots of trees, and I love looking at root systems, and so I think I look at that more than I look up, and they're so beautiful now with most of the leaves gone, and you can see all these branches and other branches and see the shape of them, but it does look like, like this fireworks, like they're going out, or like this beautiful sunrise. So thanks for sharing that, Michael, and that's that's what I took on my walk here today. It's just wonderful. So and I have some acorns. So one other thing I noticed is that I looked around, and most of the trees, you see some acorns around, but this one tree was just filled with acorns already. So I took a handful of them, and I'm going to throw them behind our yard and try to spread some seeds, which I've done here before. I've taken some of the acorns, so help spread their seeds. So I let the tree know. Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us today. It was joyful out here in the cold. I mean, really, that's the other thing, walking around, which is feeling the cold on me. Certainly, this has awoken me today, being out here. Okay, so I'm going to have some announcements for folks. So this week on Wednesday is going to be the last Mindful Bible study of this year. Michael will probably be starting that again sometime next year. We'll let you guys know, but it'll be the last one for this year. Wednesday at 4 on YouTube. And then next Sunday, we're going to be meeting in Columbus, but also on live, and it's going to be at the Hoke House. So if you guys online or don't know about that, go to theholynow.org and go to our contact link, and we can send you the address. You guys can also go to theholynow.org for more information, to donate and support us, and to find links to podcasts and video podcasts that we've done. And the next Sunday, so it's going to be next Sunday, December 22nd, that's going to be the day after the solstice and 2 days before Christmas Eve. So we'll be meeting at 10:30. And after that service, anybody who wants to join us, we're going to have a luncheon for people that want to join us. If you want to join us, Michael and I will have probably soup and salad. We'll see. But we will have a luncheon after that for those people in Central Ohio that want to join us at the Hoke House. And also we have our book, A Buddhist Christian Mother Earth Christmas, that is available on Amazon. If you'd like to buy that, I don't think we brought a copy of it with us, but you look that up. Look up Michael and Ollie Malley on Amazon, and that's our book about Christmas. So I think those are all the announcements, and Michael's going to leave us out. It looks like a song. It looks like a song.
Again, yes, thank you for joining us. And the book's available. If you're in Central Ohio, and if you don't know where the Folk House is, you can go to theholynow.org and go to our contact page, and we'll send you directions. And also on our website, if you go to the donate page, our donate page has been down for a while. It's back up and open, and I just want to say thank you. There are some folks who have made significant contributions to Sacred Ground here in 2024. There's a number of people, some people in our long distance community, some people in our local community. We also know that people have different, different abilities in terms of their ability to share, but we give thanks for those. Some people have made really big contributions to Sacred Ground, which helps us to do this work. We appreciate that. If you would like to make an end of the year donation, you could go to the donate page. Sometimes things are a little wonky. If you don't do PayPal, you might have to contact us or something like that. But and all those contributions are, we are a 501c3. Those contributions are tax deductible.
And we will get everybody that's donated by mid-January.
By mid-January,
we'll get you a receipt.
Yes.
Yeah,
so those of you who have donated, and for your tax purposes, we'll be letting you know that.
Yeah.
We're going to close our prayer song today. Will be. Are my glasses? Should I misplace my glasses? Maybe they fell off when I was out walking. I don't know. It's okay. I'll be able to see it here. We're going to close. We'll close with Joy to the World, and those of you who know me know that I love ritual tradition. Like when people watch Fiddler on the Roof and they hear tradition, a lot of people think of me. But one of the challenges of ritual tradition is that sometimes we just kind of go through the motions and we do it again and again. And with that, I want to invite you to we're going to just sing the first two verses. And I never noticed this until I was looking at it, where it's going to say, let men their songs employ, and of course we mean all people, while fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains repeat the sounding joy. So just like we have that story of Jesus where he says, if the people didn't sing the praises the stones themselves would, here we have, and this is, you find this in, I think Psalm 148, one of my favorites, the fields, the floods, the rocks, the hills, and the plains, the greater earth and family singing with us. So I love that. So we'll close today with Joy to the World, and we hope to see you in person, some of you people in Pittsburgh, and others, and online again next week. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. Peace and amen to all of you, and may we all continue to go out there watering beneficial seeds in ourselves, in each other, in our communities, in our nation, and in our beautiful, sacred, holy world. Peace and amen.
And Michael, and heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing.
Heaven and nature sing.
Heaven and nature sing.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. Bye, guys.